Moore is the author of Succeed in the New Normal, Winning Strategies to Succeed in an Unfamiliar World. He is also a leadership performance coach and transformational speaker. We're going to be talking about why motivation alone doesn't work for lasting change. When he was here prior on the show, we talked about the concept of the book. And we just touched on desired outcome, attitude, behaviors, actions. Desired outcome is the fruit, how this works, and why motivation isn't as strong as we think it can be sometimes.
Right. One of the things that we often do at the New Year is we create New Year's resolutions. And a lot of people's, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to start exercising.
Gain weight.
So we think we're motivated.
I'm going to gain weight this year. That's easier to do.
That's a different
Because
one.
usually that's what you end up doing.
Yes.
So we feel motivated to do that at that point in time.
Right.
Okay.
And motivational books and seminars and sayings are great, and they do work for a time, but then they fall short. And 3 weeks later, we stop the exercise program.
Exactly.
We go back to smoking. Why is that?
Okay.
Well, if you look at it as a tree, the trunk of the tree is like our attitudes that we have.
Right, and you show that in your book.
Yes, and that's actually where motivation hits. It's the attitude. Change your attitude, you'll change your behavior, and you change the outcome that you want. But there's something that goes deeper, and that's the roots of the tree. That's our belief system. What we truly believe about something, whether it's whether we can do something or accomplish something, will trump that attitude every single time. That's why it doesn't work for long-term change.
We were talking before you came on because there's certain people in life that have tremendous willpower. Does that tie in with the belief system? Because if you have that belief, you're going to have that willpower to follow through, aren't you?
Yes, they come hand in hand. I think belief is at that root. Willpower is just kind of funneled into it. But you know, a typical example, notwithstanding addictive properties of cigarettes, but people will look at the Surgeon General's warning and say, okay, I see that it will kill me.
And now the pictures that we're going to see on there.
Yes, and, but they don't really believe it. They believe it'll kill somebody else, but not them, because if they truly believed it would kill them, they would stop smoking. That's the power of the belief. But we really are good at self-deception. Human beings are very good at that, and that's why we don't change.
We were talking to a gentleman yesterday about addiction, whether it be whatever kind of addiction. I don't care if it's alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs, eating food, whatever, cigarettes. He was saying, we were talking about everybody usually people have to realize that the pain is not worth, the pain that happens is not worth the drinking. So therein comes what you're talking about. Because that pain hits, they truly believe, hey, this is hurting me.
Oh, exactly. And we numb ourselves with all kinds of things, whether it's addictive things or even work or exercise. I mean, we can numb ourselves with any number of things.
Well, it's our subconscious. We know the truth, don't we?
Most people do, yes.
I mean, when you,
well,
deep down, I believe we do.
But that's what I'm saying. So you have to, what has to happen is you have to start believing the truth.
Well, therein comes the fact we know the education, we know the words, we know the pictures on the packs, we know, our mind knows, but just like you said, we think.
Right.
We're invincible.
Well, yes, and the beliefs come from, some beliefs are held long-term. They're, you know, from when we were raised, how we were raised, what we believe. And the power of this, if you really think about it, is if you've had a message all your life that you're never going to amount to anything, you're stupid, or whatever it might be, that gets ingrained in your thinking, so that when you're an adult and you're trying to accomplish something, deep in your mind you've got a tape going in your head, you'll never do that.
Isn't that an escape with a lot of people? I know a lot of young people who say, I'm just stupid. So they kind of just backed off and just said, well, I'm stupid, I don't have to really
Yes, I mean, at some point we all are adults and we can make decisions, but those beliefs are so ingrained that it becomes very difficult to make any changes until we change those beliefs, until we start seeing things differently, whether it's through, okay, I'm going to get some new education, I'm going to learn some new things about this, and then I'm going to couple that new information with positive reinforcement to this behavior. That's how you start changing the belief.
But how do you do that, Jeff?
Well, for example, you might talk to somebody or families of victims who've, okay, the smoking, you see the effect, the impact. Now you have to start actually implementing that into positive reinforcement into your own life, positive experiences, so that it gets reinforced time and time again.
You know, that's a good point, because I've often said whether it comes to any addiction, I don't care if it's food, incorrect eating, smoking, all of them that we've said, I've often said that if we could see inside our body and see what it was doing, have the visual of what all that was doing to our body, we would be more apt to have the conviction to stop doing something.
But even that even that thought, without really changing the root belief of where are we coming from, why are we doing this behavior, it's still not going to change.
But Jeff, doesn't it come from outside influence? We are so influenced by everybody else.
That has a lot to do with
ourselves.
That has a lot to do with it. For example, if you have a negative belief system in what you can and can't do, what are you feeding yourself on a constant basis? For example, our culture is very negative. The things we see on TV, the sitcoms are negative kinds of jokes and degrading kind of humor. We inundate ourselves with that kind of thing. It's very difficult then to turn that around and think more positively.
And we don't want to be outside the norm, do we?
I like being outside the norm.
I don't know about you. I love being outside the norm.
But what I'm saying is a lot of people just get wrapped up in that.
Exactly.
Peer pressure is tremendous on us.
But a good way to combat that is turn the TV off one day a week. Do something else. Go for a walk. Read a book. Be with other people that provide more positive influence in your life. That can go a long way into changing and reshaping some of the things that you believe about yourself. Instead of thinking, why can't I, I can't do that. Well, why shouldn't I do that? All we need is one good reason why we can do something to combat all the reasons that we come up with why we shouldn't do it.
There is a quote out there, and of course I forget who obviously coined it, but it goes something like, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right both times.
Ooh. I like that.
So
that's very right.
I
just
think
remove
that,
the T.
Yeah, right. The new normal, talking about the new normal, this flies in the normal. We've always struggled with what is the definition of normal. Well, that is changing, obviously. So I don't think there is a given definition of normal.
Not anymore.
Because, go ahead.
Well, your normal is what you're used to, but you also have to recognize that there are times that shifts. Sometimes it's a bad medical report. That changes your normal. A loss of a job, that will change your normal. And so we adjust to those things all the time. But when things are outside of our control, such as an economy or other things like that, that becomes a little more difficult because we don't want to face the change when it's that dramatic, because our belief system is rooted in somewhere else.
But we should look at just the things we can change. I think that's...
Yes, that's been said many times before.
Many
we
times.
stress over things that we can't change when really all we can do is change ourselves, change our perspectives and how we view things.
A short commercial break. Come back with Jeff Orr talking about his book, Succeed in the New Normal. You stay right there.